Hey honey, can you look at the brakes? They sound a little funky, and the calipers look atrocious.
Toys for life.
Welcome to the Toys for Life driveway, guys. Today we're going to work on the '08 Tahoe instead of the usual suspect. Mrs. Toys for Life has got a little pulsation of the pedal when she brakes. This wheel just doesn't look good, so we're going to beautify it by painting the caliper and cleaning everything up. We'll do a before and we'll do an after. Next. I always use a breaker bar to loosen these things up, because the last thing you want to really do is smash your knuckles. And once they're broken loose, take them out the rest of the way. Always be sure to set the brake caliper on something so it's not hanging by the hose, which could damage it. This rotor is in really good shape, thickness-wise, but it is warped, so I'm going to take it to the machine shop and have it turn gently. I'm going to go ahead and pop the brake pads out of here. Careful not to contaminate the pad material with any oil. And rehang caliper loosely with the bolts so that when I work on cleaning the caliper, it doesn't move around on me. Go ahead and remove the brake clips. Now guys, this is where you need to be honest with yourself as far as what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to have a show car, then you'd probably have aftermarket calipers. And so we're not going to take these all the way off. I don't want to open up the hydraulic connections. That creates a lot of work to re-bleed them and everything, although you certainly could if you want to do a perfect job on these. The only part you'll really be able to see when we're all done are just these faces. So I'm going to clean off the faces, and I'll use a various array of brushes on the drill to clean them up, and then we'll go ahead and we're going to paint this part here, I think black, and this part here probably a red. We'll see. I've taken an old t-shirt and I've pulled it in there really good to make sure when I'm grinding away on this with the wire brush I don't get rust and everything on the seals for the pistons. And well, let's go ahead and get started. Guys, go ahead and put on a mask too to protect yourself from any rust or any brake dust which might have harmful contents in it. So guys, this big wheel does a nice job. It lasts forever. It gets a lot of the big chunks off, and it's looking a lot better. And I'm going to put on a smaller one with sharper bristles because they're newer. The smaller ones don't last as long I should say, but now we're going to hit it with the smaller one to kind of do a better job of getting some of those rust flakes off. Okay guys, that's looking pretty good. Yours may take more or less time to clean up depending on what condition they're in. Next thing we want to do before we mask everything off is take a little wax and grease remover and clean off all the areas that you're going to go ahead and paint. Paint will not stick to wax, grease, rust, oil, all those sorts of things. Now we'll go ahead and mask everything off that we don't want to get painted. I'm going to use a various supply of cloths. Duct tape is your friend. Okay guys, a couple things. Make sure you do this outside if you can. Inside wear a respirator. I've got everything masked off that I don't want any overspray on. It's always easier to mask it off now than clean off the paint later. And I like to use a little bit of a board to kind of deflect a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and use some primer here. Rustoleum's pretty decent. And we'll let that dry for about an hour, well half an hour actually, and then we'll coat it with some top color red. All it takes is a couple of light coats. Don't go overboard on this. Coat one. Okay, that actually covered really well, so I'm going to use one coat of the primer And I'm just going to use 1 coat of red enamel, actually maybe 2 coats. And that looks like it could cover better, so I'm going to give it about 20 minutes and come back and give it another coat. Follow your paint's instructions. For most enamels, you have to recoat within an hour, or you'll have to wait for 48 hours. Okay, a few hours have gone by, so we can take off all of our protective masking and start putting the Tahoe back together. Next, since I'm installing a rotor that's been turned, I'm putting in new ceramic brake pads. We've cleaned off the hub and the inside of the rotor, and in Minnesota we get a lot of corrosion over the years, so I like to give a really fine coat of anti-seize on this bare metal. That should help keep the corrosion down and make the rotor easy to come off the next time. Next up, let's put the rotor back on and throw the caliper on, being careful not to touch the machine surfaces of the rotor. And then, as always, be sure to torque down the main bolts to the manufacturer's spec.
Wow, those look amazing. I owe you. Can you look at the truck? The brakes. Can you look at the truck? Okay, I'm getting further this way. And the calipers? The calipers look, damn it. The brakes, oh my god. Okay, I know.